everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Tundra Cast. This is episode 78, and today we're going to be going over our disappointing players after we put out that video on surprising ones. We're going to be a bit more negative today. So, today with me, I have Shay
What's up, guys?
and Ryan.
What do?
And, well, as always, this season's been different. It's always different. And, like another thing is that we've seen some really really high goal scoring, which you mentioned in last episode, and still there are players who just can't stop, can't score goals at all, and there are players who let in too many. And I think we're gonna start with one of those probably, right? Goalie, because we usually do that.
All right. I think we all know who the first one is.
Yeah,
Should I just
unfortunately.
mention? I'll just mention him because he plays for my team. I mean, here's the thing, Jack. I mean, you guys warned me about Jack coming in, right? He's risky. He has shown that he can play at Vesna caliber levels, but he can also play at borderline AHL. And for most of the year, he has been pretty bad. Recently, he has picked it up. I mean, you're giving him 5x5, right? So he
It
should
He
can't.
be your
better be playing. He
he,
better be playing better.
yeah, I mean he should be your starter when I mean right now. I mean it was Skinner at the start of the season, but now it's kind of back into a tandem, which thank God, like because they were burning out Skinner, man. Like it's his first NHL season too. You don't want to do that to your young rookie goalie.
Talbot 2.0. Oh, brother.
Oh, I know, right? Thank God that they're giving Skinner less starts. But yeah, I mean obviously Jack needs to be better. Um, obviously I love the guy. He's an amazing guy. And I'm
True.
this is like people like it sucks. Like I get he's had so much pressure coming into this market. Obviously, it's a Canadian market, right? A should be Stanley Cup contender, and you're making one of the highest salaries in the league when it comes to goaltending. Because a lot of goalies really don't make that much, besides Vasilevsky and for
Bobrovsky.
some reason Bobrovsky. Um, and like yeah, you should be expected to perform at a high level. He hasn't really done that this season. That being said, goalies are streaky. This dude can go probably eight. Like this dude can probably win his next 8 games, allowing one goal each, and we're having a different conversation. We just don't know, right? He can like I mean, there's been so many examples of goalies being crap one year and becoming borderline amazing the next year, right? So
Yeah.
year one, not great, pretty bad, but we'll see how the rest of that contract goes. But yeah, so far he's been disappointing.
Yep. I mean that's undisputable. So
I mean, yeah. I mean, to be fair, he'll probably come when Edmonton comes and plays Toronto. He'll probably come in, have a 50 save shutout, and Edmonton will roll through the Leafs 6-0, and Zach Hyman will score 3 goals. But that's besides the point. But yeah, I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat this. We all know, we all love Jack here, the three of us. He was a Leaf for us last 2 seasons, and yeah, the signs were kind of there, right? He hasn't, and this is something I think Rossi mentioned, where it's like Jack hasn't ever really been like the full-time starter for a team
yeah,
until last season, right? Where he was it was kind of him, and then the Leafs kind of just had like this revolving door of goaltenders with the behind him, and this year they paid him. This is his first time being paid, right? I think with Jack, Leafs fans were much more forgiving because there were stretches where Jack was having games similar to what he's doing with Edmonton right now. But Leafs fans were more forgiving because, right, we brought him in initially to be our backup, basically, to Freddie Anderson. He wasn't making starter money, right? When
Yeah.
you get paid starter money and you're the prized acquisition of a team in free agency, they've given you term, they've given you the money, and the like we kept on saying, like the one thing that the Oilers need is a goaltender, right? Like that was their glaring need, and there were expectations that came with the move. And I think that's what amplifies the fact that he's not playing well. He's playing poorly, and they paid him a lot. And he was supposed to be the solution to a problem that the Oilers have had since Cam Talbot had that one outstanding season where they burned him out, right? They haven't
Yeah.
had a solid goalie since. Um, but I think Jack's a fighter, and I think he's got 4 more years. You just gotta ride with him, right? You don't
Yeah.
really have a choice. And I think he'll turn it around. I do.
and
I think he's always gonna be streaky. He's always gonna have some off games, stretches of off games, but I think he can give you 20, 30 good games a season at least.
and the Oilers always have their second option now in Skinner. and
True.
so it's not the worst situation to be in where you have a streaky goalie. You can always have another one that comes in and plays when he's
Yeah.
not having the greatest time. So it is very disappointing that he's been this bad this season. But
Yeah.
I think
He's like Swiss cheese, huh? There's just holes everywhere.
yeah,
Like you're looking at some of those goals that have gone in. I'm just like, ah. Even when you were bad with us last year, Jack, you weren't this bad.
yeah,
Yeah. I guess we can do number 2 now because we all had Campos number 1,
Yeah.
right?
yep, we
Yeah.
did.
All
Yeah.
right. I you can start with your second one then, Q.
Well, I have another goaltender.
I think I have the same one as you.
Okay, you wanna
Is it
say?
Jacob Markstrom?
Oh shoot, no, no, it's not.
Oh,
Oh.
who's yours?
Mine is Thatcher Demko
Oh, okay.
Ah, interesting. Interesting.
because he's been god awful. I mean, everything
I mean,
about
that
Vancouver.
team is god
Oh yeah,
awful.
everything about.
Yeah, that entire. We talked about how Philadelphia doesn't play defense. Vancouver doesn't play defense either.
Yeah, Vancouver, to be fair, has been god awful. But like, considering he was like one of the goalies who we went in being like, this guy's gonna be a Vesna candidate, he's been like made them worse, which is kind of
I mean,
insane.
to be fair, I don't really blame him. If my first pair on defense is Oliver Ekman Larson and Tyler Myers, I would like.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah, and I got my teammate JT Miller hitting the back of my net to tell me to go to tell me to
Oh
get
my
off the
god.
ice like man I don't think Thatcher wants to be there anymore. I think that's what it comes
I'm
down to.
calling right now. He's gonna go to LA or Seattle.
I think he's gonna get moved. I just think yes, he's playing poorly. I agree, Q. But I think part of the reason he's playing poorly is he just wants to get out. Like he's playing poorly and he's hoping that they just give up on him. They're paying him too much money. They're just gonna let him go and they're gonna trade him to another team that needs a goalie. I think that's what they're banking on. What he's banking on. I think part of it is I think he's pulling a mini PLD. But he's not being so openly obvious about it. I I don't blame him. I would not want to be playing for Vancouver right now either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't blame him, but at the same time, I just thought I think everyone thought that he'd be a lot better because he has been. So it's a
Oh,
big drop off from
like
him.
he is very much faster than caliber when he's on his game.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
And he just needs a good defense and a good team behind him. And I mean, we talked about it when we did the Canucks podcast, I think 2-3 weeks ago. Like Rick Tocchet isn't going to fix that defense whatsoever. They need a major retool there, and we'll see what they do at this upcoming deadline. So now back to my number 2. I was talking about Jacob Markstrom. I'm proud that the Edmonton Oilers broke this guy. Like, fuck you for not. First off, fuck you for not choosing us in 2020. All right, you want to play in Calgary? You don't want to play. You don't want to be on a team with Connor McDavid. Well, okay, well, we let your ass up in 5 games, so get fucked, buddy. And secondly, you're just washed. All right.
True.
The Markstrom's been pretty brutal this year.
0.890 goals against is a 2.9, and you're playing under a team who has Daryl Sutter as their head coach, which is very defensive heavy. I mean, they have one of the best blue in the league. Tanev, Uyghur, Anderson, Hannafin. She's only when he comes back. Like, that's a damn good decor, and you're still this bad, bro.
But the crazy thing is, he's actually positive for his goal save above expected, but like barely. Like he's 0.1.
Yeah, I mean, Dan Vladar has outplayed him, and he got Dustin Wolf in the AHL. I mean,
Wolfman.
Mhm.
there's a very realistic possibility that Markstrom could be shipped off this summer.
I
There
mean,
is.
where would
Like,
he go?
I think Wolf's already. They already locked up Vladar next year. Like, what are you waiting for? You want to clear up that $6 million cap space and bring in a finishing winger that they actually need? Trading Markstrom is the way to do it.
I think that it's gonna be. I think it'll be easier to move obviously than Bobrovsky. I don't think it's an unmovable contract. I still think he's an NHL level player.
Oh yeah.
Whereas with Bobrovsky, sometimes I really do question that. But yeah, Calgary. I mean, they're gonna have to move some assets. I don't think it's gonna be a situation where they look for a team that needs a goaltender, and they're gonna be able to get something for him. I think it's gonna be like a Matt Murray kind of situation with Ottawa, where they gotta attach a second round pick. But the thing
Yeah.
is, there's still term left on Markstrom's contract. It's not like Matt, where they only had 2 years left, right? And they retained a little bit, and they like Markstrom, like you
Has
can't
3
retain it
years
for
after us, I
Calgary. You
think.
you can't retain salary on Markstrom, right? At least not like $2 million because it's 3 years. I think 2 years, especially if you're a rebuilding team, like Ottawa kind of was, you could afford it, right? Like in terms of like they didn't have a lot of big contracts that they're paying, but it's a
Yeah.
different story for Calgary. I don't think Calgary can just go, oh, we'll eat $2 million of Markstrom's salary for the next 3 seasons
Yeah.
and then give up a second round pick, right? I think it probably starts with a guy like Zari. I think Pelletier has played NHL games, so I don't think they're going to move him. Although, to be fair, I don't think Daryl Sutter likes him very much.
He
So maybe
doesn't.
Pelletier
He
does
does
get traded.
not.
Yeah, I think he hates Pelletier. So Pelletier might get traded. Like, I don't know. But it's going to be a prospect or a pick that they're going to have to move with Markstrom.
But I think that's
Um,
the move they have to make. Like,
Probably because it's a sunk cost and he's not working, and they have better options, right?
yeah,
You don't want Dustin Wolf to wait because he's been one of the best goalies in the AHL this year with Wallstedt. So
yeah.
I agree. Going with that though, I have another Calgary Flame, and I think both of you will have him too. On your
Is
list,
it the French kid?
T.
Ubaldo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ubaldo.
Yup.
That was
Yup.
my
I
number
mean,
3.
my God, man. I mean, they paid him. He's got 33 points and 50. He's on pace for 50 points. He's like barely. He's like a 50 point. You don't pay him. How much did they pay him? Like
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 9 million.
8.5, $9 million
It's
dollars.
10.5.
10.
What?
10.
Wait.
10.
That's
$10.5 million for
sad.
50 points. I mean,
Oh my god.
all I'm gonna say is everyone hating on Kyle Dubas for paying John Tavares $10.9 million. Suck it, okay? Because at least John Tavares can give you 70 to 80 points in the season. All right, there hasn't been a single season yet with John Tavares, right, where he's on pace for 50 points. Okay,
No,
that's all I'm gonna say.
he's second highest in the league in goals up. Sorry, in expected goals.
That's what I'm saying, right? Huberto's been awful. There's no
You know
there's no
what
excuse
though?
to it.
A lot of the analytics community was very. I don't know what the right word is. They weren't the highest on Huberto going to Calgary because even though Huberto did have like 115 points last year, his 5v5 numbers were atrocious with Florida. Like they
Far from
were
where it's at.
absolutely terrible. And look what's happening here. He can't produce 5-on-5. And I mean, he's played with the likes of Elias Lindo, who's very very good. Tyler DeFoley, Nazem Kadri. He's still not producing. Like I, Huberto's a 60, 70 point player when he's at his best, in my opinion. He just played on a damn good Florida team for a couple of years. Yeah, I mean the only good thing for Calgary is that they got Uyghur in that trade, and he's been great. But like besides that, like trading away Kachuk
Yeah.
for Huberto, that's a down. It was especially how good Kachuk has played this year. He's probably been a top 3 forward in the league.
Y'all tell me y'all were willing to pay Huberto, a 32-year-old, $10.5 million.
8 years, by the way. He's gonna be
Years, but you wouldn't give Matthew Kachuk, who's like 25 or 26, that same money. Like, it's absolutely crazy to me. Absolutely crazy to me.
And it's
Uh,
weird. When that trade went down, we thought, oh my god, Calgary robbed them. I don't know, man. Florida's making a...
Traveling, hot seat, low key.
I mean,
I would say so.
Sutter might. You know what? Here's the thing. Sutter is very tight with the owner during Calgary, and Daryl Sutter used to be the Flames' general manager after he resigned as the coach the first time. If they make Daryl Sutter the GM again, they are fucked.
Yeah, Pelche's gone. If he becomes Pelche's gone. He's gone for a 5th-round pick. He's gone. He's gone. Pelche's like he's gonna go. He's gonna be doing the press conference and be like, so Pelche, who you guys drafted him with a 1st-round pick a couple years ago, really promising player, played NHL games last season. Why did you move him for a 5th-round pick? Well, he's got earned playing time. And he came in here, and I think he felt he was entitled to playing time that he hadn't earned. And I don't like his attitude. And we're trying to build a culture here in Calgary.
Oh yeah.
Pelche, best thing that happened to Pelche might be Sutter getting the GM job. He's like, yeah, get me out of here. I don't want to play with this guy
And
no
you know
more.
what? Speaking about Calgary, there's so many bad contracts on that team. Kadri, and listen, Nazem Kadri is an amazing guy, but he's gonna be 39 years old, getting paid $7 million.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
man. I don't
Yeah.
know. Oh, I mean, I'm happy to see them suck. All right, like I don't care. I'm happy. I love the tears of this fan base so far. But yeah, I mean, I just don't see like a good direction for this franchise. Like they can't really rebuild, but like you can't really contend. I mean, like you can contend, but like, do you want to give up your Pelches, your Zaris, your Coronados, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, though, they're paying Kadri and Huberto, so
So
they
they
kind of
have
have
to.
to do something.
But they're not even, like They're close to missing the playoffs right now.
Yeah, but like
In the Pacific too. Yeah, that's not great. Seattle playing well, although Seattle's been coming down to
Seattle's
earth
been
this
falling
season.
Seattle's
off.
been a good team
Yeah,
lately.
they've been falling off as of late. I would know because Adam Larson's on. Hey, shout out Adam Larson though. Yo, I picked him up for my fantasy team in free agency. Man's been killing it. He's been scoring
Essentially,
goals this season. I was like,
bro,
yo,
he's 1 away from his career high in points.
yeah.
Wow.
I was like, let's
That
go.
pains me, man.
He had 4 goals in it.
I always love Larson,
That's
man.
true. Shea has always been on Adam Larson's side.
He got an unfair treatment because of the trade. It's not his fault. He got traded for Taylor Hall. All right, like I'm happy to see him succeed though. I'm happy. He deserves it.
Yeah, but I will say the one thing that Calgary does have going for them though is that they do seem to be pretty good drafters. Edmonton and Calgary both of those teams over there in the Pacific, pretty good at drafting. Azare, Coronado. I do like Poirier. Dustin Wolf is going to be a good player for
Yeah.
them. I know I'm missing Peltier, although he might be on his way out as of today. So they've got, but the one thing I will say is, despite all the talent that they managed to bring in, is really interesting because when they actually step into the NHL lineup, I feel like a lot of them are underwhelming. Remember Dylan Dubé? There was like a lot of hype around him.
He's
I
been
think he's
better.
just,
He's been better.
yeah, but I think he's it's not that immediate impact, right? That I think
Yeah.
that a lot of people thought. Mangiapane obviously improved a lot. But it took him a couple of years too, right? They haven't really had prospects that come in and just make significant impacts like the way they might have hoped.
Yeah.
Um, so from that aspect, it is a little bit concerning, and especially with their coach, with Sutter, he's shown with Peltier, he's not willing to give these rookies, the opportunity to play. Right, he's always going to side with the veterans first, and I think that's troubling, especially with the cap situation that they've put themselves in. 2 years from now, the Zaris, the Coronados, they're going to be really important because you're paying them ELC money on a team that needs talent because the guys that they're currently paying are expensive, old, and not as good anymore, right? So you need a coach who's going to be willing to say, you know what, let's go with some of the young guns.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Sutter's that guy.
Oh no.
All right, maybe that's enough trash on the Calgary Flames. um, Q, who? No, Siakam's third player because I guess we had Huberto for both. Me and Q.
Yeah. So continuing with that whole Florida Flames connection, this
Oh,
guy
here we
I
go.
drafted in the fourth round of my fantasy draft, and he has absolutely fifth round, and he has absolutely kicked me in the teeth. Aaron Ekblad. My God. To be fair, he's been hurt. But even when he's been healthy, he has not looked great. And to be fair, a lot of Ekblad's production, came on the power play last year, and he's played without Barkov for a lot of the games that he has played this season. But Brandon Montour has taken over the number one defenseman role in Brandon Montour.
Even he's not that good defensively. He's not that great.
That's what I'm saying, and I just think, what happened?
That
Like,
whole team, man. They fell
Yeah,
off.
what happened to
Paul
falling
Florida, man?
Maurice happened. That's what happened.
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah, that must be it. But Ekblad has not been that great this year, in my opinion. I really need him to turn around though. I drafted him too high in fantasy to drop him. He has to turn it around.
All right.
I don't know, man. I think it might be time to give up.
Number 4 for Q.
Uh, okay, so this one's gonna be controversial, but at the same time, he's really dropped off this season. Which is common because it is a sophomore slump, but Mo Sider has been really not that great this season.
Mm,
And
Okay.
you agree? See, that's the thing.
I do agree.
Well, I actually don't have him on my. I actually considered him on my list. I don't
I
have
did
him on
too.
there. But I mean, how much of that is due to Ben Sherratt, though?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That was a caveat that I had here. He has not exactly been put in a great situation to succeed, and I was hoping because I do like Detroit a lot. People call me the closet Detroit fan, and they might be right. Because I really want them to do well, and I always pick them to like, they're gonna make the playoffs this year. In my hot takes videos, I think I did that this year too. I'm not sure
Yeah,
though.
you
Yeah,
did.
you did.
And yeah, Sider was gonna be a really big part of that, and I thought his talent, like his just talent of being like a next level not generational but elite defenseman. I thought that would be able to go push past even if he was playing with Ben Sherratt, which they shouldn't have been playing with him in the first place. There's other defense. Any other defenseman would have been better.
They finally split them up though, right? I think I
I
remember
haven't.
Yeah.
they've put Hronik with him now, which has been
Okay, there you go. See, so
You know,
like, it's been disappointing, but at the same time, I can kind of understand why. I do think that if he really is playing with Ronick now, I haven't checked that, but
no, they swapped. So Hronik is playing with Sherratt now, which is not good for my fantasy team, by the way.
oh, never
But
mind.
Sider, I think is Sider with Mata. I forget who he's with, but I think they've switched around the defense partners.
speaking about Detroit defensemen, one guy who's been very good this year that's been shocking
Wallman,
me, Jake Wallman,
Wallman,
man.
yeah,
Yeah,
Wallman.
He's just been amazing, like not just offensively, but defensively too. He's been spectacular. That was an underrated piece that they got from the Nick Leddy deal. Good
Hey, he
players,
he had
keep
a
him.
snipe against Toronto a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
oh,
He
I
also
Absolute
did
remember
the
that.
snipe.
It was
he
Yeah.
also
beautiful.
did the he also did the gritty. So there's that.
Yeah, that was. It's kind of sad how that was like posted for 3 days straight. Oh, Jake Wellman did the gritty after he scored. It's so stupid,
God,
bro.
hockey players are so boring.
It's
This is
so
this is what this is how you know like the NHL needs to switch up their marketing. Like,
yeah.
oh my god.
Another thing about Detroit, I feel like every year we think this team's gonna do so well and they underachieve. Like they added Cop, they added Perron this off season, they added
Kubalik.
Huso, Kuba League, and like they're barely above 500.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of disappointing,
It
very
is. It
disappointing.
hurts me because I really want them to be good, but uh, yeah, and I think
Soon enough, they will be good.
it will take some time, and it will take as long as it takes for Sherrod to get off the team, pretty much. So
Oh, so another 4 years.
it's so
You
stupid.
know
Why
what
would
the
he
funny thing
do
is? That
that?
Sherrod deal was even the worst deal for agency. Gabranson was
Oh god,
Oh,
yeah, I forgot about that contract. Jeez.
4x4.
Lord. Can't wait for a year 2 years from now when Juracek is ready to play in the NHL. And they're like, nope, sorry, we're paying good Branson $4 million, so we can't bench him.
All right.
Or even better, they ruined Juracek because they're playing him with good Branson. Oh lord. Yeah, no.
All right. My number 4 is Seth Jarvis. And I mean, similar to Q, it might just be a sophomore slump. I mean, it's happened to Evan Bouchard too this year offensively. Actually, speaking of Evan Bouchard, he's actually been good defensively somehow. But yeah, like sophomore slumps happen all the time. So like I expect Seth Jarvis to return to normal next year. But for right now, he has 24 points in 51 games. Last year in 68 games, he had 40 points. And that's a very big drop off. And I feel like a lot of it's weird. For as good as the Hurricanes are, I have like it's strange. A lot of players are kind of not like achieving the way they should be. Like they're a top team in the
Mm.
league and they don't really have a point per game star like Aho, but like he's not like he hasn't been like outstandingly good.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I know what you mean. I,
So
I
yeah, like
think I think the loss of Vinny Trocheck has been more pronounced this season.
yeah.
Um
Trocheck was an underrated player for them.
I don't think Trocheck is outstanding by any means, but I think he fit onto that second line like just perfectly for Carolina, where he could elevate players that he played with. I think like guys like Svechnikov, Jarvis, like he played with, right?
I don't
And
know.
this and
I,
Kotkaniemi is not it.
oh yeah,
like,
fuck,
yeah.
he's
like,
terrible.
that's what I'm saying, right? And like I think that was their contingency plan for Trocheck, and he's just never gonna be that. I think KK is just destined to be like a bottom six player. You
Which is
know,
sad. Could top
It's
10.
kind of a Montreal though, man. Montreal kind of failed him.
Yeah,
I
but at the same time, they gave him plenty of opportunity. But at the same time, it was like, uh, I feel like
did they
he
really though?
himself.
Because they played him with like a bunch of scrubs.
That's
You
what
know
I
what
was
I
about
mean?
to say. That's what I
On
was
the
about to
third
say.
line, it's
Yeah,
like
he
they
played a
gave him
bunch.
ice time, yes, but like they try to force him into like a third line checking center role,
Yeah,
and then they just stuck him with a bunch of scrubs that couldn't finish.
that's what I was about to say. So I like there was a kind of opportunity, but it wasn't the right type of opportunity. And one thing about Trocheck, I will say, as you mentioned, I don't know if it's elevate, but he definitely complements. He himself isn't a really skilled player or
Hmm.
any of that, but he's able to complement and just like slow down the game for players who need to play really fast, like Svechnikov and whoever skilled player that he plays with. So I think there are a lot of players like that have that ability. Trocheck's one of them. Hyman, Kunitz did it. Bunting's doing it now, though he is a bit more skilled than the other ones. And
Yeah.
yeah, so
And Trocheck's not afraid to hit, by the way. I think that's something that Carolina is going to
true,
miss in the playoffs.
true.
He's been again. I would know because I had him on my fantasy team for a bit. He hits. He'll have games where he has like 6, 7 hits. And I think that's going to be
That's
a part of the
massive.
physicality that they're going to miss. I think part of that reason is why Jarvis has been struggling right this year, as you mentioned. I think part of it is sophomore slump, and part of it is just rotations. Right, we see how a lot of these rookies that come in like they play really well their first year, right? Yes, they've been great, but that doesn't mean they're ready to carry a pairing or carry a line, right? It just
Yeah,
means that they were in a situation that was conducive for their success. And add in the sophomore slump with the league adjusting to them, and then add in like a whole change, a new defense partner or a new coach, a new system, right? A new line mates, right? Um, these things can happen. So yeah, Jarvis definitely needs to improve.
Yeah. And okay, do you have a four fun, Siakam?
So this is just a team I just really don't like. So
Okay.
I've just decided to put their entire team on the list. Um, St. Louis, man. Like
yeah, they have been bad.
we keep thinking like I think that 2019 Cup run, it was 2019, right? I'm not
Yeah.
misremembering.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it overinflated like that idea of St. Louis, and every year, no matter what, St. Louis is always like hovering in that conversation for making the playoffs, in that division, in that Central Division, right? Like I remember, I think I picked them like over the Stars, which oh my god doesn't look good now because the Stars are at the top of the division. I had them over the Jets, right? I had them over the Predators, and they've just been. I mean, Bennington has not been
He
great.
sucks.
He's terrible. To be fair, Husso hasn't looked good either for Detroit. So I mean,
yeah,
I guess they were damned if they did, damned if they didn't. When it came
I
to
mean, would you rather
goaltending.
pay? I mean, would you rather pay a shit goalie
yeah,
6 million or a shit goalie 3.5?
Well, what the issue is, you were already paying one shit goalie $6 million.
yeah.
So
Now
like
you
the
are.
issue was you either keep the other shit goalie for $3 million a year or you let him go. So and their defense hasn't really been incredible either, and it didn't get any better by them trading Mikola. By the way, he's one of their
Yep.
better defensive defensemen. And then up front, I mean, like outside of Buchnevich. Like they had like Kairu's been okay, but Kairu's been terrible defensively this season.
Yeah.
Robert Thomas
Thomas.
hasn't performed as expected.
O'Reilly
O'Reilly's just
dropped
hurt.
off.
He
Yeah.
dropped off like a stone, and now he's hurt, so they can't even trade him. They got something for Tarasenko, which I guess is nice, but it was Blay, like Sammy Blay. Like we know he's not
He-
good. He wasn't good with St. Louis when he was there the first time around, so I don't know what made them think it would be different. Um, Barbashev's all right. I think he's a little bit overrated though,
He's not.
personally.
Trust me. I don't like Barbashev at all.
Right?
I don't like him.
Who else is on that team?
Like
Letty is not that hasn't been
Shen.
incredible.
Shen's good. Saad.
Shen had a really slow start to the season, but he picked it up as the season progressed. I think part of the reason he was playing so bad though is because they had him on the third line to
Yeah.
start the season,
I mean,
and he's moved up with the O'Reilly injury.
Saad's just consistent. Wow. He only has 21 points this year. 14 on
That's
goals.
what I'm saying.
I
Like
mean, his
I
goal
like
scoring's still there,
I
but
forgot Sod was still in the league.
like
dude,
St.
Saad's been
Louis, man.
everywhere.
St. Louis is just man. I don't know. I just think they need to trade everybody on that. Oh, Ekblad scored. Nice. I think if I'm being honest, if I'm St. Louis's general manager, I'm tearing this team apart in the offseason.
As you should.
I think I
They
keep
got to rebuild.
Thomas.
They
I
got to
think I keep
rebuild.
Thomas. I keep Kairu. I think everybody else can go. That's
Yeah,
just my opinion. That entire team is
that's
just
fair.
shit show right
Speaking
now.
about trading, Noah Achari is a future Edmonton Oiler. He's not going
Nope,
to
he's a Leaf.
Toronto.
He's a Leaf.
No.
He's going to Toronto. Look. I am fully convinced that Dubas is going big at the deadline this year. He's acquiring a top four defenseman, even though we don't need one. He's acquiring a middle six forward, and he's getting a depth forward. He's making. Oh, Nylander
Oh,
scored.
Nylander. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's making three big moves at this deadline. Well, two big moves and one small move. I feel it. I think he's gonna mimic what Colorado did. Because I love Dubas, but let's be honest, he is a little bit guilty of copying Stanley Cup winners and their trade deadline moves, right?
I mean, if
We
it
saw
works, don't change it.
yeah, right. We saw Tampa. get into that situation by getting Goudreau and Coleman by giving up a first round pick for rentals or like guys with 1 or 2 years left on their deals that were more physical, middle six, bottom six forwards, and then um, uh, Dubas the next 2 seasons made moves for guys at the deadline, like a Nick Foligno, right? And I think with the success that Colorado had last year with Lehkonen and Manson at the deadline, as well as getting the guy from Minnesota, I think Sturm was it Sturm? I think it was Nico
Yeah.
Sturm. I think Dubas is going to do something similar. And you know who would fit perfectly into that Lehkonen role? Noel Achari. So he's a Leaf. I've called it.
You know what? That defenseman you're talking about, it's gonna be Vladdy Gavrikov. So have fun with him.
I
Bro,
can't wait
I've
when we
heard,
trade Matthew Nyes and 2 first-round picks.
bro, Jake McCabe was another option, and I just
Yeah, but
don't like
McCabe's
that.
gonna cost like McCabe right now is worth a first. If you
Yeah,
get Chicago to retain 50%, 2 million times two, that's way more than a first. You're gonna pay a lot for Jake McCabe, who's injury prone. That's not gonna be worth it.
exactly. So I also don't like that one.
It's
But
gonna be Joe Edmondson.
I swear to
Please no,
God,
Shay.
bro.
Please. Oh my God.
Yes.
If I'm being honest, instead of doing that, I would much rather Kyle Dubas just balls to the wall, says screw it, and trades for Timo Meyer.
Nah, bro, trade for Eric Carlson at that point too. Do both.
We can't afford Carlson.
Nah,
Like
it's
we literally can't
fine.
afford him.
It's
We
fine.
literally can't. We
Just
literally
throw
can't
Matthews
afford
on LTIR until the playoffs.
him. Every
All
season.
right.
Yeah, we don't need him.
Number. I think we're number 5 now.
Are we?
Probably.
Yeah, we are.
Keep losing track.
Because your number 4 was Zach Platt, I think.
Oh,
Ekblad / St. Louis. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yes. Okay. Yeah. So number 5 for me, I'm gonna go back to the Hurricanes here. Teuvo Teravainen.
Oh yes.
He's only
No,
on
that's a good
pace.
one.
I mean, he's missed 10 games. In 41 games, he has 24 points. I mean, this is a guy that I always thought was an elite, well, maybe not an elite, but a very, very good first line winger. And this year, it's just been all downhill. Like, only 5 goals. Like, this is a guy that, you expect to be doing much more. And maybe that's part of the reason why Marty Necas has kind of taken a spot on the first line
he's
because
had to.
Teravainen, right? Because Teravainen has kind of been a liability at times this year. And I mean, this is actually kind of good for the Canes because once he does get going, you think the Canes are good now. Imagine when Jarvis gets going, when Kotkaniemi, if he ever gets going, if he gets
No,
going.
no, he will never
And remember,
get
they're
going.
doing this when Pacioretty suffered another Achilles heel
Yeah,
injury, and Andre Kasha, who, by the way, God, that guy's so unlucky.
Yeah, no.
I feel
I had
bad
a
for him.
feeling he was gonna get hurt. Like
Yeah, he
it's
got
just
hurt 1 game in.
yeah. I
And
just
he-
want to say Max Pacioretty was by far the most useless waste of an IR slot I've ever had in fantasy. I held him for the entire season. Man came and played 2 games and then immediately tore his Achilles
He
again.
played 5 games, got 3 goals. He was good, and then
He
he's
was
like,
no,
nah.
he was great. He was
He
great,
was
but
like, he was like,
he played
nah,
a
I'm
week
out,
and
I'm out,
he's like,
buddy.
nope, nope. I was like, I dropped it this time. I was like, oh my god, there's no way. I held him for half a season. And I was
Speaking of
like,
buy low candidates, in free agency, a team that can get Patch ready for a 1 year deal at 2 million.
Toronto.
What? Shut it. Why is it always Toronto? You think he's gonna go there after what happened in Montreal? Like, I don't know. I don't think he wants
Toronto.
to. You know what? He's gonna go back to Vegas, man. Vegas loves doing this shit. Is he gonna go to Vegas 1 year, league minimum?
Back to Vegas after they just
bro, he
dumped
does
him
not
and
want to do that.
he
There's no way
ripped
he'd
them. And
want to do
don't
that.
you, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think Vegas is possible because he ripped that locker room after he left. Remember when he had that interview and he was like, "Oh yeah, like when we went to Vegas, like there was no like expectation to
Oh,
like
yeah, that's true.
win. It was
Yeah.
like blah blah blah." Also, Pacioretty, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of don't mess with him anymore because remember when he left Montreal, he was like, "Oh, like the fan base, too many expectations." He was like, "I'm so glad to be in Vegas," and he leaves Vegas. He's like, "Oh, there's like nobody on
No,
the team has expectations." I'm like, "Bro, like pick
what do
one."
you want?
Pick one. Pick one. Like,
Yeah. All right, Q. Who's your fifth player?
My last one is Yessi Pull. Oh God, Yessi Pull. Oh,
pull her Harvey.
Puyarvi.
yeah, Puljujärvi. So I can always say it before. I don't know why I mess it up now. But okay. So like obviously Puljujärvi is not an elite player. He's probably not even he's probably not even usually like a first line player by any sense of the word. But I really thought I never thought he would be this bad. Like the guy's playing with that he's had the opportunity to play with two of the top players in the league, and he's still kind of really, really, really dropped off. And he was given a lot of opportunity to not do that. So I don't know. I just find it disappointing that he couldn't he has a decent amount of skill and still couldn't convert. Because right now he's 11 points in 50 games, and you got a chance to play with McDavid, who's like on pace for 150. Like you got to have like at least 5 or 10 goals going off your back or something. So like I don't know what happened to him.
He
Maybe you
just
can
has no
speak to that, Shay.
finish. I
Yeah,
mean,
no
yeah,
finish.
I will. I mean, he actually scored today, which is kind of funny. Which is funny because I mean, there's rumors that he'll probably go on waiver soon. He might get traded. Um, the thing with Yesa is that I still think that he's a great defensive player. He is amazing in his own zone. Um, a very low event guy. The thing with Yes is that when you're making 3 million, you have to kind of provide more than that, and he just really doesn't have the puck skills.
Yeah, he's
He's
got brick hands.
Mm-hmm.
which sucks, which is weird because actually, like if you look back through all 15 of his goals last year, first half of the year, he was ripping pucks. Like at times, he can absolutely hammer the puck, but he just doesn't do it consistently enough, and he really can't make a pass. And it happened a lot of times in the playoffs, especially actually in the Colorado series where he would get a gorgeous feed from McDavid and he would just whiff on the puck. Or, if he's on a 2-on-1 scenario, he's trying to give it to the other player, right? He just can't get the pass over. And it sucks because, when Puyar in this draft, you can see the elite skill Puyarvi had, right? If Matthews and Liney were in a different draft, Puyarvi would be the consensus number 1 overall pick. Like he was the consensus third best player in that draft. Usually in drafts, there's a number 1, a number 2, then who the fuck knows? But no, he was easily the third best player heading into that draft, and I don't know where it went wrong. Did Edmonton falter his development? Yeah, they did. But
He should have enough inherent skill to be able
yeah,
to make up for that, even because of the fact that now he's playing with two of the top players in the league, one
yeah.
maybe the best of all time.
I was listening to Shay describe Puljujärvi's game, and you know who that reminds me of?
Oh, who?
Pierre Engvall. like a guy who's like he's a decent skater who's good in his own zone, right? Because Pierre plays on our PK, and then just randomly usually it doesn't really do much offensively, but just has these random beauties that are just absolute snipes. Right? When Pierre Engvall scores goals, they're like some of the I'm like, yo, is that
Yeah,
Austin
I
Matthews?
saw him go end to end once, and I was like, what? Out of
Right?
nowhere.
So that's what I'm saying. So when she was describing JP's game, I was like, yo, that reminds me of Pierre Engvall. But the only difference is
Engvall's
Pierre
been,
Engvall makes $1.5 million and
and
Jesse makes twice that.
I think he's also been like a lot more consistently good, Pierre Engvall, especially lately.
To be fair, Pierre Engvall did never play with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, whereas JP's played with a guy like McDavid, and so obviously there's going to be different expectations.
Well,
Yeah.
the expectations are you score more than 5 goals and six assists
Right,
in
right,
50
and then
games.
that's part of the reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because like Engvall has 11 goals, 19 points, and like you said, he plays
Oh,
good
40
defense.
point pace.
Yeah,
Not bad.
so
Not bad.
it's not bad at all, right? And he's. I wish he would be more physical because he has the frame to do it, but you can't help for everything. So yeah, I think Engvall's been pretty solid this season so far. Anyways,
Let's see what Engvall. Oh, he almost scored.
oh,
No,
I
you're
wasn't even
watching.
watching the
You're
game.
watching
He
YouTube.
actually almost scored a nice goal there as soon as we're talking about him.
I'm telling you, when whenever Pierre scores, he only scores nice goals.
It's true, and he makes these insane passes, and it's just like who he plays with, like not Yarncrook, it's Kerfoot and
Kerfoot and Kampf. That's the third
Kampf. He's
line.
played with
Yeah.
Holmberg a bit too. These are
Yeah.
pretty decently skilled players. Well, not Kampf. This guy just did.
I'm not gonna. Kamp's a beauty though. I'm
I,
gonna be really sad when Edmonton pays him $3.5 million.
Let's go! Every
Um,
former Leaf to Edmonton.
for double the price.
yeah,
You know
that's
what? I'll
what
take it.
Edmonton likes to do. Okay, so my fifth player. I just been adding these two guys on the fly. By the way, St. Louis and
Oh,
this guy I've just added on the fly.
oh boy.
I am adding a
Uh,
guy who.
breaking news.
Oh no. I
Oh
mean,
God,
oh,
we getting alive.
Jacob Chikrin is a healthy scratch today for the O's for trade-related reasons.
oh my God.
Oh, it
Jacob
has to be.
Chikrin could be traded, guys.
Do this. Do this.
He's a leaf. He's a
Do
leaf.
this.
He's a leaf. He's a leaf. He's a
No,
leaf.
after the Eric Carlson report, holy shit, he's gonna become an Oiler.
He's a Leaf. He's a Leaf. No,
Oh
no,
my
I'll
this is
give
god! Oh
you
my
happening.
the
god!
biggest blowy.
Okay,
This is what happens.
let's finish up this, and we'll stay on this call later. But
In
finish up your point.
in the second period, Rasmus Sandin is gonna go to the locker room, and he's not gonna come back for the second period, and that's when we're gonna know Schiffrin's a Leaf.
Okay, guys, let's finish up your take.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
actually
a player that I really loved in his draft year. I think everybody loved in his draft year because he was a consensus number one pick, um, and he was great at the World Juniors. Alexi Lafreniere. I really thought this year was going to be a breakout year for him. You know, Trocheck, we've mentioned what he's been able to do for Seth Jarvis in Carolina last year. A steadying presence in the top six will just solidify, give him someone with some physical talent, someone that will take care of him, help him grow his game. And I mean, Laffy Taffy has just been, man, he's got what this season he's got, like, he's on pace for like 40 points, which I mean isn't terrible, I guess, but you know, he's playing second line minutes, like 15 minutes, 16 minutes a game, and he's just not performing like a number one overall pick. I think New York really needs him to, and I just he's a guy that should be capable of giving you 70 points a season, right?
Oh yeah,
He's a
at
number
this
one overall
point.
pick,
yeah.
and right now he's just nowhere close.
And they flubbed on
And
Capo Caco too, so like that's two
yeah,
like extremely
so
high picks, and
I
you
mean,
just can't
how
waste
much?
that.
Okay, like, but like the Rangers are known for like not really developing prospects. Like besides
Yeah,
Shesterkin, who's a goalie, and I mean, listen, Keandre Miller worked out. He's a beauty, and Hedel worked out. Everyone else has sucked. Leah Anderson, Kravtsov, Kakko, Laugh. Everyone has sucked there.
yeah. But at the same time, Laugh and Kako should have a level of skill where it shouldn't really matter.
you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like it's like the Jesse situation, right? Where
Yeah,
it's like, yes, they've blundered his development opportunities, but the tools should still be there, right? Like, and it's not like a matter of work ethic issue, like a guy like Daigle or Yakupov, right?
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe that Lafreniere is a hard worker, but for some reason it's just not translating. And
and it's
I
unfortunate.
do wonder, yeah, I wonder what it would have been like if he managed to get an actual proper first year in the NHL instead of whatever that BS COVID shortened season was.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
and 2-0 Toronto. Anyways, guys, we're ending this a bit early because Jacob Chikrin could be traded. You know what's weird? This podcast is gonna be out in 2 weeks, so like the people watching is like, what the fuck do you mean he's getting traded? He just got traded.
uh.
This is filmed on February 11th, by the way, if you're watching this. So
Disclaimer: don't add us with fake news.
yeah, but anyways, yeah, I'm sorry. I just lost my train of thought because I'm refreshing Twitter. And anyways, yeah. Stay tuned for future podcasts. I know we've been kind of off lately, but we got lives, sadly. School sucks. And we're getting old. Like we got we got more responsibilities to do.
Yeah, I got
Q,
kids to deal with. You know, I
you got
gotta.
kids, eh? Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, just thanks for supporting the podcast. I know this season has been really bad for us lately, but you know what? We still got our supporters, and that's awesome to see.
We
So
appreciate you.
Very much
yeah,
so.
but yeah, stay tuned for a trade deadline preview. We'll do the trade deadline stream like we always do, and yeah, the next few weeks should be very, very fun to watch. Thanks for watching,
Timo Meyer's a Leaf.
and we'll see you next time.